And we're back with another episode of Lakers Weekend for the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's Lakerholics Spotlight. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode that's out available right now for your enjoyment. Please go ahead and check out my preview for night 2 of WrestleMania. It's available right now wherever you get your podcast. Also, as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Joe Soro is always lurking around somewhere. You know he is. And he does so at Simblades with a Y.com and is Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. The guys here, LakerTom and Jamie Sweet, Admiral Akbar, somewhere around. He, both these guys, they're going to go ahead and be available for you anytime at all at Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and join the conversation today. The great articles, Jamie's 5 things, LakerTom's Celtics articles, and more right there at Lakerholics.com. Plus, also as well, of course, our good friends, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights. Also as well, John Costa did a great job hosting the post game yesterday. He can be found at, of course, Lakers Corner and also as well, Clutch Talk. Good friends, Empire Jeff TV, probably watching the Dodgers on the rain delay. Also as well, Lakers in 5, John McCalian channel. All these great channels, please support. Even support Tom's Coke. But also as well, of course, please support us by liking, follow us, and subscribing. Please subscribe today to get the latest notification for the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. We'll be on later tonight. I'll be doing a pregame. We'll be doing the full game as far as playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. He's the guy that got me involved in playback, so you can blame him for playback. And also as well, of course, our post game and topped off with the nightcap from Joe. Raphael, what's going on? Great to have you here. The Lakers, good time. Let the good times roll because the Lakers have won 9 of 10 and are making some noise. I've talked a lot these past 2 months about when the Lakers can make some noise in the Western Conference. Can they make some noise in the Western Conference? Well, they've got the symphony out. They've got the band together. And they are making some noise in the Western Conference because as of right now, they are in 8th place. 9 games back in the Western Conference, but with 4 games left to play, they still have some work to do. And here today to discuss all the good things that we've seen and what's up ahead, including a big matchup tonight, because the Minnesota Timberwolves are not trying to slack at all because they're a half game out of first place in the Western Conference. Of course, a good man indeed. It is the guy behind at LakerTom on Twitter, one of the most controversial Twitter accounts out there. I'm just trying to make sure that everybody knows because controversy sells. Controversy gets follows. So it is LakerTom. LakerTom is here. His latest article is now available at Lakerholics.com. Great to have you back, my friend. You and I haven't done this together.
It's been a while. It's been a while, Gerald, from the early days. You are just such a hardworking podcaster, man. I mean, it's amazing. You're everywhere.
I try, my friend.
You can't even get a raise. You know, it's pretty amazing.
Well, my raise comes if we get more people to subscribe and more people to watch. That's how we do it. But hopefully that day will come true one day. But it is.
Oh, I think it's happening for sure. You know, it's like anything. It's like any profession that you dedicate yourself to, whether it's basketball or podcasting or accounting or finance. You still have to do all of those foundational things of building up a business, which really happens minute by minute, person per person that you talk to, show by show. And I think you've done a fabulous job, not only of expanding everything, but the amount of time that you put in. There's no doubt that you're the hardest working podcaster out there, Gerald.
Well,
and not only do those of us who participate with you appreciate that, but we really respect that because we know how hard it is to continue to do that every day in a long season. It's not like football with 12 games. You got 100, 100, all of these games that you've got to go through, 82 games and all of the stuff that you've got to manage. And as everybody knows, the NBA and especially the Lakers, there is no off season or slow season. It's like hot news all the time. The Lakers now are in 8th place. Do you know how many days it's been since the Lakers were 9th or 10th?
I believe it was late December, if I've read the article.
75 days. We
Yeah.
could not get past 9th place for 75 straight days, even though we had the 3rd best record in the NBA.
That just shows you.
That's the same type of perseverance, though, that we were just talking about with respect to podcasting, and it applies to basketball. I think the team has really played extremely well. LeBron and AD have been just majestical in how they're playing. And D'Lo is the 3rd star, and I swear I'm almost ready not to become a Laker fan if they let this guy walk. He is everything that this team has needed from the three-point line and offensively, and you just do not throw away gems like that. You figure out how to build a team around LeBron, AD, and him, because I think that is the clue. That's the key to the future as far as I'm concerned. Tonight's game, it's after all of those 75 days of nothing happening and the Lakers continuing to win, now all of a sudden we don't play at all and good things happen. We gain a spot up in the standings. We gain a couple of people who are out, and it really comes down to right now we have to win out. And if we win out and the Kings lose 1 game and the Suns lose 2 games, we are the 8th seed. We're the 6th seed. And we don't have to go through the play-in tournament. And that is becoming more and more realistic every day. So I think the Lakers are going to come out and play their best basketball of the year for the next 4 games, and we're going to make that 6th seed.
Well, first things first, we can't look too far ahead because the team that we're playing tonight has got a battle on its hands themselves if they want home court throughout the Western Conference playoffs, and that's the Minnesota Timberwolves. So there's no resting for the Lakers. The Lakers, as I said, coming into this weekend, this was the biggest weekend of the year for them this season. They have passed half the test, part 1, and now they head into, against a game against Minnesota. Minnesota doesn't have Cat, but they still have been very, as you see, they had a slight downturn.
Maybe better without Cat starting and with Nas starting in his place.
Well, they had a slight downturn this time last month in March, but after just a few few games where they needed to get right, they did get right, and they have maintained. Everybody thought there was going to be a fall after Cat, and while there was a slight fall for a second there, they've come back, and they've come back strong, and they're now fighting for first place in the Western Conference. I know the Lakers. Everybody's on the Lakers bandwagon again. I'm getting there myself. I said today, I'm not fully there yet until they beat Minnesota. If they really can do the back-to-back of beating Minnesota and Cleveland on a back-to-back, man, does that do the whole NBA? Does that send a message to the entire NBA if they do, Tom?
Well, I think they've been sending a message. They're a top 10 team offensively and defensively in the last 10 games. They're, I think, number 3 in the net ratings. They have the best record in the last 10 games. They're on another heater after just having that one heater broken.
Them and the Dallas
Mavericks. I wrote an article recently that the Lakers have become the most dangerous team in the league. And every team, I know that you responded to that by saying every team thinks they're going to beat the other team. But there are teams know are going to be a problem for them. And the Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell have been showing everybody the kind of problem they can be. I don't know whether we're going to get Vando back, but I do think that I've seen some excellent defense from Gabe. And the combination of having him and Spencer, I think, has really shored up our defense. I'm still a little apprehensive. I think our weakness right now is Austin Reeves is very tired. He's been really, he hasn't had a break basically since he went through the whole summer. His shot has really left him. He's been playing well and even defending fairly well. But there's a point where we have to think about whether or not our bench is also not scoring, Fortunately, Prince came through with a terrific game, but we've basically been outscored by the bench. And somehow to me, it still seems that there's a point where, and I don't know if we're going to get there this year because I don't know if Vando's going to be back in time, but there's a point where Reeves really would be better off coming off of the bench as the sixth man and Vando filling his hole so that we've got some defense, or maybe, maybe even Gabe moving in there, or Spencer moving in there. We need a little more balance between our bench and our starting lineup. And it's hard to change the starting lineup at this point in time. You think that if Vando comes back, well, he just replaces Rui. But I don't think you can take Rui out of that starting lineup. Rui is just killing it. He's the one guy, when they finish guarding our best shooters, he's the one guy who's always got a mismatch. And he's learned how to take advantage of that very well. So, I don't know what's going to happen with the Lakers going forward, but I think that as long as LeBron and AD are playing at this level, and D'Angelo, this is the test. If D'Angelo can go and play in the playoffs like he played all year long, there's no way the Lakers can let that guy walk. He's just too valuable.
Once again, it is Lakerholics Spotlight on Lakers Weekend at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's LakerTom. Go ahead and make sure you follow him today at, of course, LakerTom on Twitter, plus also as well, Lakerholics.com. Make sure you check out the great conversation and great articles that are right there for you, including Jamie Sweet's 5 Things articles. Mr. Admiral Akbar, and I got a bone to pick with him. Even I did not pick the Lakers losing at Toronto and Washington both. He did and got burned, thank goodness, although he will tell you he will gladly take the L on that one. But
that's the no-lose situation that Jamie always takes. He says, I'm going to bet that the Lakers are going to do terrible, and if they do terrible, he's right. And if they don't do terrible, he wins. So it's, it's kind of a selfish sort of, how can you lose?
In other words, he's being Jamie. And
we'll just being Jamie, which is basically is why it deadens every conversation you want to have with the guy, because he's always in the same spot. You can't move him. You try to get behind him and push him, he still stays in the same spot. I'm going to predict that nothing will happen or that the Lakers will lose. And therefore, he always comes out smiling one way or another. He either says, oh, I'm right, or else I'm happy because the Lakers win.
That's Admiral Akbar for you. But I do want to mention for tonight's game, Gabe Vincent, with his the precaution on his knee, is out on a back-to-back. I do want to mention, though, you talked about the bench and you talked about what the Lakers have done defensively, because they were miserable defensively throughout the month of January, February, and in March as well. But the Cleveland game, I think, is perspective of what the Lakers defense has done more in recent games, because after a sloppy first half, especially on the defensive end by the Lakers, they turned it up. As soon as the Cleveland Cavaliers got up by 4, the Lakers went on that big run. But it's not just the big run on offense that got us. It's the defense. The defense, when you hold an NBA team under 100 points, that to me says something right there, that you did something right on the defensive end. And that defense in the second half really needs to go ahead and get a lot of credit. I also want to give credit to Austin Reeves. Yes, Austin Reeves has struggled mightily from the offensive end, but I have been hard particularly on him all year long because his defense, even through FIBA, this is something that was brewing over the last couple seasons since he was here, since he came here as an undrafted free agent. This is part of the reason why he was an undrafted free agent. Terrible on the defensive end. But you know what? In the past month and a half, this guy has worked harder on the defensive end than virtually anyone out there in the NBA. I'm not saying he's the best player in the NBA. And on the defensive end, don't get me wrong on that. I'm saying he's playing harder on the defensive end than anybody out there in this past 4 to 6 weeks. You can see the effort that he is putting on in each and every play, because he plays one of the most difficult positions to defend against in the NBA. So that being said, Unfortunately, his offense has suffered quite a bit because of it, Tom. The effort and expenditure
Mhm.
in what he's doing on defense has caused this. Tonight is a big test because the type of player Anthony Edwards is super athletic, uh, shifty, does have a pretty good shot from the outside. That's the kind of player that's going to provide the biggest test for Austin Reeves tonight. Your thoughts on Austin Reeves? Can he slow down after doing such an effective job yesterday against Mitchell? Can he do it? Not even as good a job. I'm not asking him, but can he slow down even a little Anthony Edwards today?
Yeah, I think they can. You know, there's a reason. There's a reason why if you go down the list of take the list of the top scorers in the league, you go down that list and 9 out of 10 players that you run across in the top of that list are all going to be guys who don't really play hard on defense. And the reason they don't is because they play hard on offense. And it's awful. There are only a very few people in the league who really have, number one, the will, and second, the discipline and strength to play 48 minutes going all out.
Mhm.
You just don't see that, and I'm not even just talking about the LeBron Jameses. I'm talking about anybody who's a 20-point scorer in the NBA. Your job's to go out there and put those points on, and your agent will tell you that's what you're going to get paid for. So the few guys, the 1 out of 10, the Drew Holidays, the players who play both ways, the Anthony Davises, those, you imagine the effort that they have to put out on defense and how that has to affect their offense. So what you really appreciate about Austin is that he's shooting like crap. He can't hit anything. I mean, it's just amazing how he's like 4-30 or something like that from 3-point land. But he's made up for it in other ways with his playmaking, with his rebounding, with his hustling, and by playing a lot better defense. And some of it is just that when you're such a good offensive player as he was, and when the offense really made his name in the NBA and got him to where he is, it's hard to focus and put that much effort on defense. And to his credit, he's really done it. I'm sure it doesn't help his offense to be exhausted because he's going out there and putting all that effort on defense. But he understands that in the context of the team and the responsibilities of everybody, he's got to do that. Now, can he do that against Ant-Man?
That's a tall order, and I'm not.
He's not really a great outside shooter. So I do think that, and the thing to remember too, what has gotten better about the Lakers defensively has not been the individual defense. It's really been the team defense.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen things like LeBron James has been playing outstanding defense, and he's even challenging 3-point shots now. And so you see a lot more coordination, the handoffs, the trades. When a guy gets switched onto a big, you see a second switch happening all the time. Now, the Lakers are really calling out those plays and working ahead, anticipating the switches and who's going to be in a bad position, and making sure that they're doing that. And then they're also doing a lot of switching on the perimeter so that they aren't getting guys who get into the paint and really throw those little floaters over our drop coverage. So we're doing a much better job, and I've been really happy with seeing the team doing a lot more switching defensively on the perimeter, because I think it makes it a lot easy. Anybody who's played defense and has tried to fight through screens, comparing how much effort you have to put out to do that versus just switching, unless you've got somebody who can pick you apart in a pick and roll, basically you're almost always better off to do that because you're going to save a lot of energy that way. You're going to have much better defense on the 3-pointers. The other thing that the Lakers have done is in the last 10 games, they no longer have a deficit in 3-point shooting. What used to be a 10-point differential that they needed to score to gain 10 points in the paint and from the free throw line, in the last 10 games, that's disappeared. And in fact, in the last 2 months, it went from 9.9 differential negative to a 5-point differential negative to a 3-point differential negative. And now it is basically pretty much flat. We are making as many threes as we are allowing. And a big part of that has been reduction in the number of threes that we're allowing. We used to be allowing 15, 16 threes a game to be made. We're down to 13. We used to only make 10 a game. We're up to 13. And that's been the big difference. All of a sudden, we have changed the entire formula that we have had since LeBron came here to win games. We no longer have to make up 10 points a game in 3-point differential that we lost. Instead, now every time we get points in the paint and free throws over the other team, it's going to the plus side. It doesn't have to make up for anything. It's just our advantage. That's the big difference. And that's why I think the Lakers really have a lot more than a puncher's chance to go all the way this year.
Once again, it is Lakers weekend. Lakerholics Spotlight on the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It is Laker Tom. Go ahead and make sure you're catching all the great work that he does. Celtics Oracle aside.
Let's talk about the Celtics article. You got to do that.
I think I would have.
Here's what the Celtics article is about. The Lakers should do this year is exactly what this offseason is exactly what the Celtics did last offseason.
I think I would have phrased it,
which is to go out and get an elite point of attack defender guard,
okay,
which they did, Drew Holiday, and a modern two-way center who can spread the floor and protect the rim, like they did with Kristaps Porzingis. So they went out and got exactly the two things that the Lakers really need. They need a point of attack guard to pair with D'Angelo Russell, and they need a modern center to pair with Anthony Davis. They don't need a third superstar. What they need to do is do exactly what Boston did. And the results would be very similar to what Boston has done. They're all of a sudden a top two defensive and offensive team with those adjustments. They took two superstars and a motley group of role players, and they turned them into the best starting lineup in the NBA and the number one ranked team in the NBA, and probably the favorites to win their 18th NBA championship before the Lakers, unless LA can pull off a miracle run this year. So that was my Celtics article. And yeah, I had a great big green picture with 5 Celtics on there, their starting lineup. But there's a lesson there to be learned by the Lakers. A really big lesson, I mean, they've got a general manager who really went out there and took some gambles. Yeah, everybody says every time I brought up trading for Porzingis, oh man, he's always injured, et cetera, et cetera. He'll never do it. And Drew Holiday, he's 34 years old. He's washed up. They're talking about giving him a $90 million contract for the next 3 years.
Well, I think he'll probably even ask for more, but that's just me.
And he's worth it, man. He's worth it.
Once again, it is Lakerholics Spotlight. It is Laker Tom along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. Darren, thank you again for the super chat. Truly appreciate you doing so. Very kind to you. You can always send us super chats or as far as whatever you want, as far as donations. Anything is greatly appreciated, and it does help out the channel. Darren says, Laker Tom and Gerald together, sweet. Hope you guys do another trade deadline show this summer. Yes, absolutely. We will do a trade deadline show. We will do more.
That was the first one that I missed because I was moving. I was in the process of moving from the house we lived in for 40 years.
But we missed you blowing up because the Lakers didn't do anything.
Yeah, I know, but they didn't do anything at a couple of the other ones that we've done too.
Yes,
that's
that first
one. 4 or 5 hours of Tom and Gerald predicting all of these trades and analyzing all of these things, and then at the end, the Lakers don't do anything.
Yeah, that first one was terrific. You were so red in the face; it was absolutely great to watch. Well,
that was the one where they had. That's the one where they turned down the trade of for the trade with the Raptors.
Yes,
for Kyle Lowry for. Oh man, I wish I had done that trade.
Yes, absolutely. So it is Laker Tom. Go ahead and check out what he's doing today at Lakerholics.com. Want to go ahead and focus in right now on the standings in the Western Conference. As I showed you guys earlier out there, they're watching on YouTube and Facebook. The Lakers, again, right now, as of right now, they are in 8th place in the Western Conference, a half game ahead of the Sacramento Kings and a half game behind the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. Again, They do play the Minnesota Timberwolves. You can see where they're at in the Western Conference. Minnesota is a half game out of first place, already clinching a berth in the Western Conference playoffs, but they are just a half game behind Denver in the Western Conference playoffs. And with a victory tonight against the Lakers, they do go back to a tie with Denver. But if the Lakers win and New Orleans lose, they jump, Tom, into seventh place in the Western Conference. And if that's the case, that could be great. But unfortunately, Tom, we can't have it both ways with New Orleans and Phoenix. New Orleans wins or Phoenix wins. So who do you root for in tonight's game? New Orleans and
Well,
Phoenix?
it's real easy. It's real easy because we play New Orleans. So
Okay.
if we beat New Orleans, we win the tiebreaker and they can't beat us. So there's nothing to be gained by New Orleans winning. As I said earlier, the only two teams that matter to us are Phoenix and Sacramento. So you gotta be rooting for the Pelicans to upset the Suns, and they aren't going to do it. The Suns will win.
Okay. Sacramento is at Brooklyn here in just a bit, so they probably should make up.
I think Sacramento plays
Brooklyn.
Is it Brooklyn today?
Yes, they play Brooklyn today. They had the easy victory that they blew against San Antonio. I'm not believing that they'll do it twice in a row. So I have a feeling that they'll go ahead and win on the road at Brooklyn, like the Lakers did last week. So we'll see what happens, though, by the end of the evening. And obviously, we'll cover it all in the post game. And of course, also as well, Joe's nightcap as well. But again, the Lakers, the idea is to keep winning, my friend. And in doing so, the Lakers have to go ahead and continue the great push starting tonight against Minnesota. I know it's a back-to-back, but all these teams are playing a lot right now, and the Lakers have to gut it out in order to get the victory tonight. And Tom, I didn't think that they would go ahead and be this successful this late because of what the schedule was offering, especially coming off the road trip. But you know what, Tom? They have a lot going for them right now. And if they play like they did yesterday, anything's possible for the rest of the 4 games.
Well, you got to step back and look at the way that we've been shooting the ball. I mean, we haven't been reducing the number of points that we're getting inside. The main reason that the offense is all of a sudden blossoming is because we've become like the second or third best three-point shooting team in the league. And that makes us just look at the game yesterday. I mean, every time we fell behind by 3 points or 6 points, somebody came down and nailed a three. And in the past, we've never been able to come back and catch up with that. In the past, when you try to catch up with 2-point shots, it is really difficult. And that's what has changed everything in the league. With this 20-point leads, 20-point leads are nothing anymore. 10-point leads are almost like they can be wiped out in 3 or 4 plays. So the Lakers have upped their defense, upped their offense, and it's been player by player when you go across and look at how they've been playing. D'Lo is playing the best ball. I mean, he just took 14 threes and 12 threes and shot 50% in the last 2 games. and we've been crying for a volume 3-point shooter. Of guys shooting over 7 threes a game, he has the highest percentage in the league. I mean, you take him and LeBron and AD, what the 3 of them are doing, what AR is doing despite his poor shooting. You've got guys like Prince, who's now playing the proper kind of minutes and coming off of the bench and doing a great job. We just need more scoring from the other players. I think that I'm really pleased with how Hayes has been playing. I mean, he has given us a vertical threat at the center position.
From the offense, he is still not.
If they could get him to be a better defender, a rim protector.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think there's a good chance that he can stay with the team next year.
Well, again, with him, it's, rim protection. He's still, for a guy that's 7 feet and very athletic, he doesn't protect the rim very well, and that's still his main flaw. Yeah. But him rolling to the basket.
Him rolling to the basket is he and Rui rolling to the basket are almost unstoppable when they come from the corner. I mean, I love that LeBron AD pick at the top with a guy coming from the corner. it's almost unstoppable.
Well, you see right there, according to teamrankings.com, the NBA three-point standings, the Lakers have, after starting the year 28th, 29th, I think, in three-point shooting, they have climbed the ladder to 8th place overall in the NBA. And to me, that is absolutely remarkable. That's one of the biggest turnarounds right there that the Lakers have done. If you would have told
I
me,
haven't heard any more of those rumors about shooters coming to LA to die, huh?
yeah, Joe, God bless him. But he would always reiterate during the season that the Lakers, you just can't get anybody to shoot well in the bright lights of LA. Well, with 3 shooters between 41.5% and 42.5%,
Right.
with Rui leading the team, D'Angelo right behind him, and LeBron right behind him, that has gotten the Lakers to where they're at. Then Torian, if he can, it just gets you consistent shooting off the bench, something he has not done fully yet. He had a great game yesterday, but again, this is something that's been hit and miss with the Lakers as far as the bench is concerned.
Yeah, I've been happy with Torian. I was really riding him a lot in the first couple of months. But the one thing that I really loved about his game is when he's open, he takes that shot. He doesn't hesitate, You can't say that about almost anybody else on the team. I mean, that D'Lo is going to take the shot. And there's never a question about that. If D'Lo's got the shot, he's going to take it, unless he's trying to be a playmaker first or something like that.
A lot
of the other guys, when you've got a shot, a lot of the other guys almost have the mentality that they prefer to make that hockey pass, and get a better shot. And that's a balance between confidence in yourself and confidence in the guy you're throwing the ball to, and style of play, your belief in the style of play of, you can. I think there's certain things that everybody knows happens. If you miss a rebound on a 3-point shot and the ball goes out to somebody on the 3-point line, I tell you the percentage has to be over 50% that next shot is going to go in. And so it's all a confidence game in the way that and getting the shots off quick. And then the other thing I think that Prince has really surprised me with is that he has one of the best Euro steps on the team. He can go to the rim real fast and take a couple of slow steps that will just confound people. And so he's been very good at. He's got a very good percentage of completing drives to the rim and so forth. He's another guy that I'm hoping we can keep next year. He doesn't even have a player option. He just took a 1-year deal for the. I think it's the biennial minimum, if I'm not mistaken. So we have a lot of guys who. They haven't broken into the starting lineup. They haven't really broken into the rotation in a major way, like we had hoped they might have at the start of the year. But they've played well enough that I want to keep them, and maybe not well enough that other people are going to overpay to take them away. We'll see,
We'll see indeed. But I do want to bring up something that Kurt and our auspicious and awesome best Lakers chat that's out there, Lakers Fast Break, told us here just a second ago, is that I wonder what the correlation in the dramatic rise of the 3-point shooting is when Rui Hachimura was inserted to that starting lineup. Now, D'Lo had already, I believe, started on his burner, but I think that Kurt has a lot of validity to that.
I think you're right on there, Kurt, because there were 2 really basic big moves that changed the whole dynamic of the starting lineup. The first, obviously, was reinstating D'Lo back as a starter, and basically saying, okay, we're going to start Reeves and D'Lo, and forget the defense. We just need to have offense. That really gave us a super boost, and I think that happened like February 3rd or something like that. Or no, that happened in late January, actually. And then I think February 3rd or right around there was when Rui was moved into the starting lineup. And that gave it a second push forward. And since Rui's been in there, we've had probably, I think, was the second best record in the league or close to it. And the offense, basically, a lot of the numbers went crazy. So the one thing you can't do is, if you look at the lineup today and you say, where do we make a lineup change if we have to make a lineup change? And if we have to make a lineup change, it's probably going to be because of defense. Okay. So if you're looking at that lineup, Reeves is the only player that makes any sense to move to the bench, because you're not going to take Rui out of that starting lineup. Not with what he's doing now, because Rui is actually, in many ways, he's a compromise that he can play the 3 and he can play the 4. So he's really a second big that you want with AD. He's not as great a second big because he's not a shot blocker and so forth, but he does contest shots down there. He does give us size inside, and that's one of the reasons that he's rebounding well, is because we've been pushing him that you got to fill that role. If you don't fill that role, if Rui doesn't fill that role, we have to go out and get a center. I still think we should go out and get a center and leave Rui as the 3. But he's really made a difference, and in that standpoint, it was the finishing piece, because he's the one guy now when that lineup comes up and we go down to the other end of the court and they're focusing on LeBron and they're focusing on AD and they're focusing on D'Lo. Rui, the 4th best center defender, is going to guard Rui. And Rui is by far our best post-up player. I mean, he's got to be among the top 10 in post-up percentage-wise, points-wise, because between driving to the hoop, which he's doing really well, he's developed a very good Euro step. He's not afraid to dunk the ball down there. And he's Kawhi Leonard when you give him a 15-foot jump shot, man. He never misses.
Well, we'll see what happens, my friend. But it is, of course, the Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight. Don't forget, we've got the pregame, during the game, post-game, and also the Lakers nightcap with Joe Soro coming still.
Didn't I say he was the hardest working podcaster out there?
I'm trying, my friend. I'm trying indeed. But cool, bro. The Angels. Did you not notice that Tom's Yankees are 9 out of 10?
9 out of 11.
9 out of 11. I'm sorry. Okay. I know the Angels are playing well to start off with, but again, Vegas has them targeted for 72 wins this season. It's a long season, cool, bro. Wake me up in September when they're out of the picture. But okay. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Cool, bro. I'm hoping for you I'm wrong, but we'll see. We'll see.
Cool, bro. What they really need to do is they have a guy on their team they need to trade to the Yankees.
Who, Trout?
Of course.
Trout will go on the DL before that happens. Again and again. The Angels should have traded Trout many years ago. They should have traded Ohtani and Trout for a ton of things that they could have. But they had that opportunity and they let it slip away.
Well, when you're the Anaheim Angels, that's what you get.
Unfortunately, as a fan of the team for quite a while now, yes, I can't say.
Oh, you're an Angel fan too?
I was a Dodgers fan throughout my childhood. Then I became an Angels fan. But unfortunately, that's been
you're both then.
Yeah, a lot of pain. Although my family and I'm getting pressure from the outside to become a Dodgers fan once again now that Ohtani's there. So we'll see. But,
well, Dave, I wonder, what do you think of the Ohtani gambling thing? Have you discussed that on any of the podcasts?
Oh, at length, my friend. Yes, we have at length.
And what is the consensus of the people you've discussed it with?
The Ohtani, $700 million. Now, it cuts so much of the face of baseball right now. No way they're going to let him or admit to any guilt or anything like that. They're going to go ahead and dust it off and move on. The MLB is just going to try and do
$2.5 million gambling debt, though, is
it's either a well-paid interpreter or it is Ohtani doing something. So if that's the case, I think we all need to go start learning a new language right now and become an interpreter if it pays that kind of money.
I have a friend who uses a bookie, and he was told by his bookie, who knows the guy in Vegas, that bookie basically let everybody know that it was Ohtani making those bets, and it's been in the news for over a year. that Ohtani has been gambling. I don't know if that's true or not, or just bullshit. But I guess what really bothers me is to think that baseball would really pull off something like that. I mean, is this like the gambling issue with MJ? Where all of a sudden he was off for a year. Geez, I can't. It's awful hard to understand how this whole thing could happen.
Well, I'm pretty sure I know how it's happened, because you think you're at that level and you think you can do anything. And unfortunately, power corrupts, but you'll see what happens. I think with Ohtani will get.
Well, I hope it doesn't get washed. They just nail some guy who in the NBA who's been gambling. He's going to be out. His career is done.
Yeah, but that's Jonte Porter, who was
right. I know, but
borderline player. This
Jonte Porter should not. Nobody. I believe in the rule of the law, man.
Nobody is going to go ahead and, if you're Rob Manfred, and believe Rob Manfred is going to actually lay down the law on Ohtani.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. Whatever messages or posts or anything from Ohtani is going to accidentally get deleted or wiped off. You know what? Ohtani is going to be free and clear of this. I have no doubt in my mind that's going to be the case. I have no doubt. He is so much of a face of this league. He is so important to the Major League Baseball, so important to the Dodgers. Yeah, I seriously doubt anything will happen. I could be proven wrong, and you can call me out on it, but I think most people out there don't expect anything to happen to Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I hope it's because he really didn't do anything wrong.
Either that, or it's just too much money involved, my friend. It's always about money, my friend. It always circles back around to money. And I think
it's this whole thing about this whole gambling issue now, where it's like they found the key to getting the average fan to gamble, which is this more or less over or under business that Prize Picks and everybody is using. I mean, I find my grandson playing Prize Picks. My grandson got my son into playing Prize Picks. Now, I've gambled large amounts of money on games, but I've only done that for teams that I wanted to win. I didn't gamble for the juice on the game or just to win money. I gambled just because it's my team. And I don't mind doing that, but I've never understood the people who are a Yankee fan or a Laker fan, and they go out and make all sorts of bets that are contrary to the Lakers or Yankees winning. They all of a sudden forget that they're a fan, and instead they become a gambler. Give me a deck of cards, man.
All right. Well, here comes the LakerTom optimism here on Overdrive. So the Lakers have 4 games left starting tonight. And by the way, South Carolina, with about 9 minutes left, lead by 11. I think they've got that wrapped up. So sorry. I can just wait. I cannot wait until all the people start the Caitlin Clark hate here in about
It's already started.
25 minutes. Just the girl's trying her best, and she can shoot really well, and people are just mean sometimes. So I'll just leave it at that. But when it comes right down to it, Tom, you've got 4 games left for the Lakers, and including tonight. So I'm going to ask you, and I already know the answer that you're going to give. Lakers have 4 games left.
They're going to win out.
They're going to win out.
I really do believe they're going to win out. I predicted that they were going to win out. I've lost 1 game.
Yes.
I thought they were going to finish 50 wins.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I remember the tweet.
No, and listen, part of it obviously is I'm always going to be super optimistic about the team, but by the same token, I spent 5 or 6 hours writing an article detailing in specific terms why I felt the Lakers have a good shot at doing that, just because of how everything was coming together. And everything's coming up purple and gold. And each player who is important to the Lakers was playing well. So, and we were getting guys back who were healthy. So it wasn't like suddenly saying, oh, I'm, out of nowhere when the team is doing terrible, that we were going to win out the rest of the year. And we've come damn close to it so far. And I think all of the things are pointing in the right direction. It doesn't mean, though, that Minnesota can't come out and have a hot shooting night and the Lakers have a cold shooting night and we lose one or we lose 2 of the next 4. I think for sure we'll probably win 3 out of the 4. I think we can win all 4 of them. I think that there's no team there that is basically better than we are. There's no team. We're not playing the Nuggets or the Kings. So, we should be in pretty good shape. And I'm not really afraid of their big men from a standpoint of how they match up with Anthony Davis. So I do think we'll win that. The bigger question in my mind is that I'm not really worried about the Suns are the bigger problem. I think the Suns are the team that they got to lose 2 games. They got 5 games left and they got to lose 2 of them. That's going to be hard to do. I think that we will end up 7 or 8. And it's interesting. And if you end up 7 and 8, you go into that first play-in game. And if you win, you're the 7th pick. So the chances are that we're probably going to end up the 7th pick. So I've been watching very closely who the number 2 pick is. See, I think the odds say that we're going to be 7, 6, or 8 in that order. 7, 6, or 8. And so then obviously you're looking at who you're going to be playing. You're going to be playing probably, if you're number 7, you're going to play the number 2 team. If you're 8, you're going to play the number 1 team. If you're 6, you're going to play the number 3 team. So we're going to get one of those 3 teams up at the top. And the only one we don't want is the Nuggets. So I think we got a 66% chance of winning the first round.
I think we should not underestimate the game on the road at New Orleans. I think that's going to be a tough game. I think New Orleans will give them everything and then some.
It all really depends where they are at that point in time. I think the game will be meaningless to them.
Okay, we'll find out.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
And if it's not, give me a LeBron and AD on the road. It's not a problem.
Okay, well, they're starting to win on the road now, something they didn't do all season because they did have the worst record in the Western Conference as contenders in regards to their road record coming into that 5-1 road trip. But they're starting to make believers out of a lot of people, including me. Once again, it is Laker Tom. Go ahead and check out the greatest and latest at Lakerholics.com. But before we head on out, Laker Tom, it is time for you to go ahead and do the magic pitch. What's going on with LakerTom at Lakerholics.com?
Oh, it's a funny time because usually there's a constant turmoil between myself and Jamie and Michael H. and the other main contributors on the site. But we've all been in agreement that everything is going along smooth. And what the Lakers' chances are right now, I think, how can you not be optimistic when you've won 9 of the last 10? And when you look back over since we've started to play well, other than the Kings and the Nuggets, there's nobody out there that really scares me. And there's nobody out there that I think scares LeBron and AD and the Lakers. I think they feel confident. And that's why all of this talk about it doesn't matter. The seeding doesn't matter as far as they're concerned. We'll go from wherever we are and we're going to make it. And the whole approach of one game at a time, all the way through, as exactly what they should be doing. And they are doing it. Ham has done a better job. He's calling timeout sooner. He's not allowing things to go crazy. And the guys are participating. And he's keeping Prince's minutes in the proper perspective, and Torian's playing well. So, all of the things, there's all of these reasons. We didn't win 9 out of 10 games during the year. We didn't get a streak like we have now where we've won. I don't know what at the stretch I can't even keep track of how good the stretch has been. But ever since we started this stretch, we've been top 10 in offense and defense as a team. And our 3-point shooting is getting better and better. So all of a sudden, somehow in this season, through the moves that we made of Ham ending up with putting back D'Lo into the lineup and putting back Rui into the starting lineup, those moves have worked. And I don't think anything is going to reverse those 2 moves. I'm hoping Reeves really starts hitting his shot. I would, even if I were the coach, I might even give him a rest in one of these games, one of the easier games, or hope that there'll be some games that don't go count because teams will just bench everybody, and because the season's over. But the Lakers are showing the reason why they're exactly doing what they had to do to make everybody really understand that you don't want to play the Lakers in these playoffs, because they're going to be focused, and they know, it's unsaid, but they know who they want to beat in the finals. They know they want to be in those finals. They do not want to allow the Boston Celtics to win number 18.
Well, there's still a long way to go before we get that point, my friend, but it is, of course, Lakerholics Spotlight. It is, of course, Laker Tom. Please go ahead and check out the latest articles today for him at Lakerholics.com. Plus, of course, the most controversial Laker Twitter handle that's out there. And you'll understand why once you check it out for a little while. It is at LakerTom. Please follow him today at LakerTom on Twitter. Well, always great to have you here, my friend. Seemed like old times. You didn't call me stupid once throughout the show, so I really just think I made it out good if that's the case. But any last thoughts? Maybe a little smack on Jamie before we head on out.
Jamie and I have been like two peas in a pod, man. We haven't had a disagreement.
That's a rarity.
A whole year now, it seems like. No, everything is. I don't even have, I have actually got one or two trade articles that I wrote a while back, and I haven't even published them because I'm not even really feeling that at this point in time. I really like where the Lakers are. I wish that they had done something to get a better backup center, a better rim protector for the second team, and maybe another. I look at what the Mavericks did, and those are the moves that I would have done if I were the Lakers. I thought Gafford was one of the guys I was really pushing hard to go after. And he has just been fabulous to them. He's now given them a backup center, and he could have been a starting center for us. But, Hayes has his offensive rebounding, and his dunking is really something special. So, the Lakers got a shot. There were a lot of times during this year when I didn't think that they would end up with a shot. And I think that they have more than a puncher's chance to win it all.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how you feel after tonight's victory.
Yeah, tonight I'll feel a lot better. I feel a lot more comfortable because I think then the New Orleans game will be the toughest game after that. And if they can get by all those hurdles, including Golden State as well, I think that the Lakers, and if they do get into 7th or 6th place in the Western Conference, especially 6th place, if they can get a week off, that would be really, really good.
Vando, that might be very valuable time for Vando to get some practice time.
Yeah, exactly. And just to get healthy.
And Reeves to get refurbished.
Does Tom think we'll see Reddish or Christie again outside of garbage time? I think that at some point in time, personally, Kurt, and I'll give it over to Tom here in a sec. I think at some point in time, he'll bring one of those guys back out of the doghouse. He always does. He always rotates those back end of the roster guys that Reddish has become. Reddish had a chance to become a major player, especially the way he played in November, but he got hurt and has totally derailed the season. With Max Christie's had a couple opportunities to start. He's had a couple opportunities to make imprints, but he's just been extremely inconsistent. And again, I think that if the Lakers need that kind of defense or get into foul trouble, which is something they haven't do. We haven't even talked about the fact that they barely get into foul trouble as a team in recent games, which is part of their success, defending without fouling. But I want to hear your thoughts, my friend, on if Christie or Reddish will ever get back in the rotation again this season.
No, I pretty much agree with that assessment. I don't think either one of them will. Basically, we're going to play fewer people. The rotation is going to go down to 8.5 people, and you're going to see the starters play a lot more minutes, and frankly, we're in the playoffs right now. These are our playoffs. Hell with a play-in tournament, hell with any of these last 4 games of the season. We're in the playoffs right now. It's win or go home. That's how we look at every game, and that's the way we should be doing it. And that's why we've gotten this far, and that's how we're going to get there all the way.
Tyrone is correct. We have been sloppier with the ball since the turn of the calendar year. The Lakers were actually one of the top teams that
We
protected
had a
the
real
ball.
good stretch where we were going like 7 turnovers a game.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's not the case right now. Now, there has been more transition points, and obviously that's led to the increase in scoring. But that's the case. That's still something the Lakers have to work on. But the offensive rebounds has been an issue all season long, including yesterday in the Cavs game. At one time, it was like 9-0 on the offensive boards for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So they do need to go ahead and at least get closer the differential on the offensive rebounding as well.
Yeah, it's the offensive rebounding and the consequential, the result being second chance points, which is one of the areas that we're not real strong.
Because it seems like on the Lakers end, there's only one person that's doing it, and that's Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis doesn't get you second chance points, no one does on the Lakers team.
Right. Well, I thought you were talking about the opponent's offensive rebound.
Well, no, the opponent's is the worst.
Our opponent offensive.
No, I'm talking about both ends. We don't get offensive rebounds, and we give up a ton of offensive rebounds.
Yeah, well, the reason we don't get offensive rebounds is because we don't want to give up transition points. So we rarely have anybody offensive rebounding. Usually,
of course,
4 guys in the other uniforms waiting under the basket for a shot attempt.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you're shooting a lot of threes. And we aren't shooting more threes. We're making more threes, so there's fewer rebounds that are going out like that. Now we've also improved our defensive rebounding, though, has improved because we're at the top of the rebounding tree. And yet we still see stretches where we seem to be the slow team to the ball. We're not getting that. Those 50-50 balls are turning into 40-60 balls for us. And some of that maybe because of size. I frankly think that regardless of how we do this year, our goal this summer should be to get bigger. I think that we've shown, and all of the advanced analytics say that we're a much better team when we're bigger. And a second center that can play next to AD, I think, has to be our top priority in the offseason. And a point of attack guard. We need somebody who can really shut down the opposing team's guards. Although I have to admit that I have been very positively impressed with Dinwiddie's defense, and I think Gabe Vincent's defense too has looked very strong. So we'll see what happens as we go into. I think that it's hard when you look at guys like Christie. And you look at guys like Reddish. Reddish had his shot and he couldn't pull it off, so he's basically going to get very few minutes. I think Christie will get foul problem minutes, possibly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Bailout in case
he's not going to get minutes unless there's something wrong with the rotation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's out of the rotation at this point in time. I mean, what is the bench? The bench is going to be basically Prince, Hayes. Who am I missing? Prince, Hayes, and
Gabe Vincent.
And Vincent. Prince, Hayes, Vincent.
That's pretty much your rotation right now.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's not back yet.
Right.
Yeah. And Hayes.
The half I would hope would be Vando.
Yeah. It's not the most scary of benches that the Lakers have, unfortunately.
No. And what really is disappointing is that they made a bad call at the trade deadline. At the trade deadline, if you're to believe the reports coming out from Jovan Buha, the Lakers made a decision that they weren't going to be able to win a championship, so they didn't want to use the draft pick.
Yeah, but if you feel that way, they should have gone under the tax instead of just stand put.
Yeah, that's true. That was one opportunity they missed.
Blew my mind.
But there were moves they could have made. Imagine that. I could just take 2 players. Imagine that you got Gafford.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that you got Jordan Clarkson. All of a sudden, your bench problem is gone. You could have given a lot of seconds and probably pulled that off. So I think they made a judgment that we weren't going to be able to do what we've done, which is come back.
But if that's the case, as an organization, you should do something that's more financially sound, and getting under the tax for the first time in years would
have been a smart move.
Yeah.
You know what's the bummer about it too is that they would have had to move Wood to do that, and they didn't do that because they wanted to keep. They thought Wood was going to be valuable, but then he
got hurt. But I mean, it's a moot point anyways because the Lakers have played so well, and now.
But it does do one thing that I think is different, because I think that the last thing we've heard from the supposed front office position is that they're going to go after Trae Young or some superstar. I think that that's changed in the back office, the front office. I don't think that they feel that way anymore after watching what D'Lo's done and what this team has done and what Rui has done. All of a sudden, the idea of trading Reeves, Rui, and D'Lo, if you could sign him again, or letting him walk and losing him for nothing. And you look at what this team is doing now, and you think if we had a center like Gafford, if we had a point of attack guard, like Drew Holiday or something like that, all of a sudden, I think that there's going to be a real hard look this summer at where the Lakers put their money and where they put those draft capital. Because this team can be turned into a championship team with the addition of a couple of position players. And yeah, you do have to, if you're going to commit to LeBron for, let's say, 2 more years, plus he takes his option. So he's got 3 more years as a Laker. You've got time to make a replacement. You got time to find another superstar down the road. You don't have to do that now and take somebody who can't play defense. Because if you hire another superstar and you bring a guy in who can't play defense, I don't think it's going to work. We're only good. We're only a great team with 2 superstars because both of them will play defense. You put Trae Young in there with a LeBron or Trae Young with AD, that is not going to be a championship team, in my opinion.
Well, let me go ahead and finish off our show with something that Joshua Dietz on Facebook, and thanks Joshua always as being part of great part of what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break. He's asking about for LakerTom, who is LakerTom starting to circle in his bag of trade tricks this summer? I know it'll change like 4 or 5 times because it always does. But who is your first early targets for this upcoming summer, my friend?
I'll give you 4 of them. This is my next article.
Okay, here we go.
These are the 4 centers who will transform the Lakers into a championship team. And I think that they should spend their draft capital on these guys. So the first guy is should I even say this? I don't. Okay. So the first guy is Lauri Markkanen. That's my number 1 pick.
Well, everybody's been mentioning that.
Yeah, I'd give all 3 draft picks and all 3 draft swaps to get him.
Wow.
The second guy on my list, I had Cat on the list at one point, but I can't handle a salary. Salary doesn't work for me.
No, it doesn't work for the Lakers either.
Yeah. No. So, sure, I got the right.
You might as well put second. You might as well instead of change his name from Cat to Second Tax Apron.
Right. So the next one is an old time favorite, Miles Turner. I'd give up 4 picks for Miles Turner.
All right. Well, what would you give up for someone like Nick Claxton? Because Kurt is asking in the chat.
I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
My third pick would be the guy from your favorite guy from the Rockets.
Cam Whitmore?
No, the center.
Alperen Şengün is not my favorite guy. I don't.
No, okay. He's the guy that at 21 years old, he would be the third guy I'd go after, and I'd give up 2 picks and 2 swaps for him. And the 4th guy on my list would be Isaac, Jonathan Isaac from the Magic, I'd give up 1 pick and 1 swap for him. So those are the guys that I'd have the Lakers go after, and I'd have them use their draft picks. And all of them make under $20 million.
What about someone in the final year of his contract, that Alan's suggesting as Clint Capella? Or Nick Claxton, who has been who's in.
I like Claxton, and I wouldn't be unhappy if they made a deal to trade for Claxton. Mm-hmm. The reason he didn't make my list is because I wanted to have a center that could also shoot from outside.
Of course,
I wanted to have I felt it was really important to have a stretch 5, just for the versatility that you get from that. Claxton was on my list at one point in time, but I took him off for that reason. I also liked Gafford, but he wasn't. I didn't see him, being available. These are guys that are good trade from. 3 of them are on expiring contracts, so that means that players, they got to make a decision. The Jazz got to make a decision. Are we going to sign Laurie to a monster contract? Same thing with Pacers. Are we still a good enough team now? Because it hasn't been as good as it was before, that we're going to give a new extension out to Miles. Alperen, all of a sudden, the way that the Houston has been playing with a wide open thing with Jalen Green, there's a question now of whether they want to have a low post center in there. And then same thing with Jonathan Isaac. He's got 2 years left on his contract. He'll be an expiring contract. He's making $17 million. They have cap space to go out and get people. Do they want to make a gamble on a $20 million a year contract for a guy who missed 3 of the last 5 years? So there's question marks always between the players that you're available to get, because we can't go out there. We're not going to get the top 4 centers. You're not going to go out and get Embiid or Jokic or so forth. You can't get those guys. They're not available. So you have to look at players, and if player is available, there's going to be a reason it's available. Either he's injury prone, or he's not playing well, or his timeline doesn't fit with the rest of the team. Whatever the reason happens to be. But my focus is that I think the Lakers really need to focus on getting us. They need to get a backcourt mate for D'Lo and a front court mate for AD. Those are the keys to winning a championship and having almost a dynastic quality deep team. You can't do it by spending $40 million on another player when you got 2 guys making $50 million each next year.
What about someone like Jonas Valanciunas, who would be
I think that there's a whole group of people who fall into a second category, in that I don't think they're as elite defensively as these 4 guys that I chose.
True.
But I think Valanciunas fits into that role. I think that there's 3 or 4 guys that fit into that role who are big body center guys with low. I'm looking for a guy who either can take the defense or offense to a new level. Okay. And if they can't do that, then they at least have to be a low gravity player who can match up well against Jokic and Sabonis.
Okay. I'm just saying, a big body, he should be right around 10 to 15 million for next year.
He was
can't stretch the floor. He's 35% career shooter.
Yeah. Nope. But he's older too.
Mm-hmm.
See, almost again, I was trying to get guys all under 30.
To give you 5 fouls against Jokic.
Yeah. No, I think that those are all compromised positions. I'd go for these 4 guys, and if you can't get one of these 4 guys, then
he has proven to be durable.
Yeah. So. There are another 4 guys out there, Claxton and Valanciunas included, who I would be more than happy to see as a second big next to AD. But if I'm going to choose the 4 guys that I think can have the most impact, I want guys that I know can make a 3 and block a shot.
Wow. That sounds good. We'll see what happens. But it is, of course, Laker Tom. Please go ahead and check out the great things that he's doing today at Lakerholics.com. Kurt, Zach Edey, if we could get him in the second round. Yep. Great job by our entire group out there that's following us out there. Our awesome chat, the best Lakers chat that's out there, Lakers Fast Break. But yeah, if you can get Zach Edey in the second round, Kurt, I would absolutely take it. We'll see what happens there.
I actually watched him play just for that reason, just thinking the same thing.
I would love the fact if the Lakers, if they did or were told that they were going to keep the first round pick, I would love the fact if they could draft a Donovan Clingan in the first round or a Kyle Filipowski in the first round, and then top it right back with Zach Edey in the second round. And just
I take anything other than another, anything other than another minimum salary retread that we've done for the last 4 years in what is obviously an important position, the backup rim protector. It's like, how can you not prioritize that spot?
Well, I'll be talking to someone who has been checking out some of the things going on with the draft. He is back scouting and back doing things again as far as checking out prospects. It is Stone Hansen. It is my guest tomorrow on tomorrow's show, trying to see if we could do it at 7 p.m. Eastern because of the fact that the NCAA title game, I may have to do a little later. We'll wait and see. It's up to him. But Stone Hansen will be my guest tomorrow. But tonight, it is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Please join me for the pregame to give you the latest updates to see what's the status of LeBron and AD. AD is just as probable. LeBron's new middle name is questionable because he is questionable as always. But we'll see.
That almost seems like that should. I saw somebody just got done for.
They're going to put it on his gravestone. LeBron, the greatest of all time. Yeah, what?
Lakers do that every single game. I mean, that doesn't seem like you're supposed to give an actual, realistic appraisal to the other team as to who's going to play. And the Lakers have done this continuously. And I just saw that some team, I think it was the Mavericks, got done $100,000 for not being on fourth.
It was 76ers for Joel.
76ers, right? Yeah. I mean, how can they allow the Lakers to just put LeBron? He's been like that in every game this year.
Yep. Questionable for 82 games. So
yeah,
again,
right.
On his gravestone, it'll say LeBron James, whatever you want to say.
He may not be dead. He may not be dead. It could be like Elvis.
It's questionable. Yes, absolutely, indeed. But once again, it is Laker Tom. Please go ahead and check out his great work today. Celtics article and all. How dare you put that picture? Blasphemy. Put that picture on Lakerholics.com. I repulsed when I saw that on my phone. I can't still get Lakerholics on my computer, but I can still get it on my phone. So we'll go ahead from there. But once again, it is Lakerholics.com. Go ahead and check out Laker Tom's articles today. Plus, follow him on Twitter, the most controversial Lakers Twitter that's out there, at LakerTom. And you go ahead and check it out, and you'll know why indeed. But Tom, always great to have you here, my friend. Hoping Jamie will be able to join us next week for Lakerholics Spotlight. But any last, any last motivational thoughts for the fans and then audience out there before we head on out?
I think that AR is going to have a big game and he's going to outscore Ant-Man.
There you go. Absolutely. Think high.
And if you use that on Prize Picks and you win, email me a thank you.
Okay, absolutely. How about email you a thank you indeed? But
email me a thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Just start calling you Otani. But once again, it is Lakers fast.
So Ant-Man under, Reeves over.
There you go. All right. Fair enough. There's your betting tip of the day. Cool, bro. You didn't hear that because you are underage, but it is, of course, Lakers Fast Break. It is Lakerholics.com. Please go ahead and check out the great work Laker Tom does all week and the chat that he and Jamie Sweet have. I think Jamie would say that they've been argued at least once in the past year. I think at least once. How about send a Coke?
Yes. A long ways.
Okay. Well, send a case of Coke to Tom, and there you go. Absolutely.
Right.
There you go. Once again, it is Laker Tom. Please check him out today at Lakerholics.com. But don't forget tonight, a full night of coverage as only we can bring you. We will bring you, and that's tonight right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.